What's up YouTube? My name is Alec, this is Alec Makes Things, and in this video I'm going to be making the LEGO Technic Bugatti Bolide. Now this is an absolutely fantastic car and I'm really excited to make this kit. This is one of the cheaper kits, so it's around $50 US. In Australia that's around $80, and I think in the EU we're looking at about 45 euros or 40 pounds if you're in the UK. This kit has just over 900 pieces, so about 905 pieces. Which is about 360 more than what you get in the Ford Mustang GT 500, but there's absolutely no motors of this in any kind. There's no pullback features, there's no power functions, there's nothing to drive it, and so your money essentially is going on the extra piece count. So 904 pieces or 905 pieces is a pretty good count. It's going to take a little while to build. So obviously applicable for 9-year-old and above, and this is made in conjunction with or in collaboration with Bugatti, and that's why you get the Bugatti sticker on the side here as well. So this car is a really nice car, like the real life car. I think it was based on a Bugatti Chiron, but they stripped that down to make a much lighter weight and higher performance car, and that was already a pretty high performance car. So although you're not going to be late to get your shopping, you're probably not going to be able to fit your shopping in this car if you do get it, even if you were probably just buying an iPhone, to be honest. I think they've stripped down a lot from this car to make it as lightweight as possible. So yeah, I'm super keen to make this. I think it looks like a fantastic car, looks really interesting. And just to cover a few more features on the box here, on the top of the box we've got the 1:1 ratio wheel, so that you get an idea of how big this is going to be. And we've also got a picture of the side of the car and also a stat on here as well. So this just basically tells you a little bit about the car. Rather impressively, it does 0 to 100 miles an hour in 2 seconds. So very fast. It's an 8 litre and it's got 16 cylinders in a V formation. So yeah, very big, very powerful engine, and that's what makes the car go very fast. On the back of the box, you'll be able to see here we've got a picture of the actual car itself, again with some of these stats. So the 18 litre V16 engine. This churns out nearly 1600 horsepower, but I was watching a video and some research for this, and it turns out with the higher octane fuel that they can use on racetracks, they can push up to like 1800 brake horsepower, which is absolutely phenomenal amount of power for a car to produce. Again, you're not going to be late to get your shopping or to go to work if this is what you're driving. So we've also got a view of the rear of the car here, and some of the features down the bottom show what we can expect once the car is built. So we've got the opening doors, and we've also got some of the more complicated engine components. So we've got cylinders that go up and down, so keen to see what that looks like. And then a little bit more of an interesting interior as well. I think there's going to be some more stickers, more complex dashboard, and then we've got some an image here for scale as well. So it's around 30 centimeters just over in length, so reasonably sized car, but in the same sort of range as the ones of its price range, so the McLaren and the GT 500, for example. So I'm super keen to get going with this. Let's do the build, and then afterwards we'll do a review, and I'll show you the finished product once we've finished. Just for transparency, I am not sponsored, I've got no affiliate links, no one's given me this to review or to build, and all of the views and opinions in this are entirely my own. Let's make this thing. Here we can see the contents of the box. We've got 4 bags which each correspond to a phase of the build, and we've also got the manual which we'll go through in a minute. This is the first stage of the build. We can start to see the chassis coming together here, and there's just a few nice little pieces that kind of start to give us the shape of what's to come. I found this really just gets you straight into it. Good fun right from the beginning. Already you can start to see quite a nice symmetrical build forming. So I'm just going to show how some of these pieces connect together. I thought this was a really nice little piece. What we're looking at here is the beginning part of the Hand of God steering mechanism that will connect from the top of the car to the front steering component. And you can just see this all slots together quite nicely. It's a little bit more involved than some of the other kits like the GT500, and involves gears and axles and so forth that aren't just directly connected to the wheel. And this, you can see, is how that comes together. So the horizontal axle at the bottom there will go through the car and connect to the front steering, and then this will connect directly to the top of the car where the Hand of God steering dial will be. And you can see that turns really easily. So I actually got myself a little tweezer kit because last time I was putting the stickers on, I just found it really difficult. Maybe I've got awkward thumbs, but made it a lot easier with a decent pair of tweezers. I'd highly recommend this. The process goes a lot more smoothly. You can pinch it from a smaller point and line things up a lot more easily. And it just gives you a little bit more wiggle room if you do get it down wrong in the first instance. And I thought this came out really nicely. I think the sticker details are great. Really nice addition to the vehicle, especially on the interior. So something that I wanted to show here, just highlight a little bit. Once you've got that mechanism we've just shown installed on the chassis, it's actually a little bit easier just to loosen that fitting with the gear there before you put this piece in. Otherwise it's a little bit more difficult. Here's the Hand of God steering mechanism itself. That goes straight into the top there, and then that turns everything. This kit also has a really nice selection of carbon fiber stickers that go on some really awesome looking panels, and this just gives a really nice shape to the overall to the vehicle itself. I thought this was awesome. Here we've got the V16 engine and the camshaft. This is a really clever little bit of the kit as well, and I think it's something that just gives it a little bit more life and a little bit more energy. Certainly makes the build a bit more interesting. I'd actually made a mistake at this point with the placement of one of the cylinders or pistons, but I went back and fixed that subsequently. But yeah, very, very clever. Doesn't use a huge amount of pieces, and you could start to see how that camshaft is going to lift all of those pistons or cylinders up as you turn the axle. So here you can see the axle being turned and those pistons firing. I wanted to give this a little bit more power, so I went ahead and got one of my motors out. This is one of the power function motors. Connected that up and just wanted to see what that looked like when it was actually running, to give it a bit more of a realistic feel. There's obviously no motors in the actual car itself, but I think that looks really awesome, and yeah, really nice. And this is the engine actually installed into the car. It's not connected to the rear axle at this point, but you can see where this is turning. That will eventually connect via another gear. I mentioned these pins in a previous video. I really like these. They go through other connectors and lock things in place really nicely. Very satisfying. So most interestingly here on the dashboard, in addition to the gear stick representation and the Bugatti logo, we've got a sat-nav which actually shows what is the Paul Ricard circuit in France, where the Bugatti was actually tested originally, and I think that's a really nice little touch. So this is the end of the second phase, and yeah, you can really see the car starting to come together now. Got the steering mechanism in place, and that's all connected up nicely. We've also got the rear axle in place, and that connects to the engine and the cylinders. The Hand of God steering mechanism works on the top, and all of the pistons fire when the back wheels roll. These are really nice little kind of panel parts that form the shell of the car. A couple of these small kind of wing looking things are actually relatively new to LEGO Technic, smaller versions of ones that previously existed, and they will just click together nicely with these little connector pins and create a really nice fin for the front end of the car. I think this looks great. Here we can see the front end of the car coming together with the Bugatti logo and some more fins and wing looking mechanisms. This all looks really nice and just clicks into place beautifully. This is the end of the third phase of the build, and again you can really start to see this coming together nicely. We've got the carbon fibre rear window components, or the engine cover, and these kind of fins which make it look really, really slick. Here we've got the doors. These connect quite simply. They're a little bit more complex to build than you might think initially, but again, not too many problems, and they just click into place with a small axle connector, and then they allow you to roll them up as the real car does. So this is basically almost complete. We've got a few more little touches to put into place. We're right at the end of phase 4 and almost ready to get the wheels on this thing, and it's starting to look absolutely brilliant. I've really enjoyed building this so far. I think the rear end looks pretty slick as well. So this is the finished car and it looks absolutely awesome. I had a great time building this. There's lots of nice details, and yeah, I think a really good experience actually building the car itself. Those additional pieces that you get over the GT500 really do make a difference, I think, in the build process. Not just in the amount of time it takes, but the enjoyment that I got out of building it. So you've got quite a few features in this, and so you've got the opening doors which swing up like this, and then on the inside you've got a much cooler looking dashboard. The bonnet or hood, depending on where you live, does move up and down, but it's pretty basic, and there's actually nothing inside, so not a particularly unique feature. What I would say about this, which is particularly cool, is that you've got the pistons on the inside here, which are part of the engine block, and as you move the car back and forth, those pistons go up and down because they're connected to the rear axle. And on the underneath side of the car, you can actually see the different cams as part of the camshaft that move those pistons up and down, and how they connect to the rear wheel. And then probably the most significant feature on the car is the steering. So you have this hand of God steering dial on the top, and that moves the front wheels left to right. When you've got this on the ground, it's fairly lightweight, so yeah, there's not really much problem in terms of steering those, and yeah, it makes for it a nice, easy and smooth movement. I think there's a little bit more on this car and sort of in this car in terms of components, and so the building process for it, I think, is a little bit more interesting than I had with the Ford GT500. Both of these cars are of a similar size, both in terms of kind of length and height and width. I think as a comparison, I prefer the look of the GT500. And I prefer the colours of the GT500 as well. I think the Bugatti might have looked better in blue, but I know that they produced a Bugatti Chiron, which is also in blue, so maybe they're trying to mix that up a little bit. But yeah, personally, I would have preferred this to be in blue rather than yellow. I think that is more kind of in keeping with the theme of Bugatti. But yeah, very similar. I think if you've got these on a display shelf, they're going to look great next to each other. If I were to choose between these two, I'd probably choose the Bugatti just because I enjoyed building it more, and that's kind of where I got most of the enjoyment out of it. And I think they're both going to look great on your, display cabinet or on a shelf in your room. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give us a like and subscribe below. And if you've got this model, or you're thinking of getting it, and you've got any questions, or you enjoyed making it, you have any comments, leave those in the comments section below. And if you've got any requests for models or kits that you'd like to see me make or review, then also let me know in the comments section below. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.